everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. This is another episode of Talking Heartland, and we are into season 8, episodes 4, 5, and 6. And these are some pretty fun, dramatic episodes. And I am film critic Rachel Wagner. Michelle's here.
Hey, everyone.
Yes. So thank you so much for working with Cammie last week and while I was able to go on vacation. So that was really fun. And I really appreciate the two of you talking about the beginning of season 8.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Just getting like a little bit of a different perspective on the show. And
Mhm.
yeah, sorry we kept it a bit long, but we had a lot to say. We had a lot to say.
Yes. Well, it's the beginning of a big season, so it's very exciting, and I very much appreciate it. It was fun to just get to listen for 1 week and just get to watch those episodes, not have to take notes and everything. That was kind of fun.
Fun.
So, all right. Well, let's dive in to these 3 episodes. And the first one is called Secrets and Lies. It's a very scandalous title. And it's Prince Ahmed visits Amy at Heartland and declares he loves her, but Amy tells him they'll only ever be friends. Tim, out of the loop as usual, invites Ahmed to Heartland for dinner that ends in a fight between Ty and Ahmed after Georgie reveals that the prince is in love with Amy. So overall, what did you think of this episode?
I'm going to be honest, I kind of struggled with this one. I wasn't the biggest fan of some of like Amber Marshall's decisions in terms of like her reaction when Ty kind of all is revealed towards the end of the episode. I just found it really difficult to I don't know, it just came off as a little bit whiny as opposed to like sad and upset that this is happening. It was immediately sort of like it's not what you think. It's in the reality that she really should have just been honest from the start. I guess we were sort of all leading up to this breakup, which again isn't my favourite storyline, but yeah, it was a bit of a mixed bag for me, this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. I am not a big fan of this whole storyline. I don't know, it just feels kind of phony that they would break up and it just feels like they are stretching this relationship out
I
as
agree,
long as
yeah.
possible before a wedding. And I'm like, I don't know. It's not my
This
favorite when shows do
yeah.
that.
This literally feels like we need to like squeeze in a breakup before the wedding.
Yep.
So like
Yeah, I
that's what it
agree.
feels like.
Yep. I agree. And I think it's kind of a bit of a missed opportunity because I feel like it would be interesting to see Ahmed as like a friend, more of a business associate, more of a like, why can't he have his own story where he falls in love with, like you could have almost a Cinderella type story, and that would be really cute. Like with, I don't know, he fall in love with Soraya or someone, you know what I mean? Like that would be a very cute little storyline. And I think the like not everybody has to fall in love with Amy.
Yeah. It sort of feels like they threw the character under the bus a little bit. And he's not the
Yes,
best
I
he's obviously
agree.
not he's not the best character, obviously, but I feel like they did so much work to get us to a point where we were starting to like him. We liked that Amy was, going off on this adventure with him. We didn't feel like, it was a wrong move in terms of like Amy's career or whatever, but it just feels like they'd done all this work developing this character to do this storyline where we'll, 1 episode and we'll likely never see him again after this. So yeah,
Yeah.
it just is unfortunate.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And I like the actor. I think that he does a good job. And I just think it would be fun to have there's not a ton of diversity in this show. It would be fun to have like a cute little storyline. So yeah, we're definitely on the same page with that. We also have Georgie with the trick riding, and Olivia starts to do trick riding. So
As
oh
of
good.
course.
Yeah.
I was just
But
I don't
Georgie
know.
was
I
go
don't know what
ahead.
they're trying to like accomplish with this storyline. Like, what more is there to kind of say in
Right.
terms of like their rivalry or whatever? They're just little kids. Like,
Yeah, and Olivia has a new horse named Winner, and I, I didn't really. I thought Georgie was kind of weird in this episode because she's upset with Amy about the video, and but then she's like blaming herself for the video. I thought that was weird.
yeah,
Like,
that feels forced as well. There's like no chance that this is her fault, any of it.
mhm.
Um, and I also don't know when she became such a massive Amy and Ty shipper.
Yeah,
Like, when did that happen? Or like
right.
they lived and died by the fact that they were together or not together. I know she's like one of the things that this season started sort of kicked off is Georgie and Ty sort of bond, which is great because they both have sort of similar backgrounds. Um, and I think Graham is just really great in those scenes. But yeah, it just feels weird that she's so invested in the relationship.
Mhm. And didn't we already go through this whole storyline with Amy kissing what's his name, and then not telling? Should I tell Ty? Should I not tell Ty? And the rodeo. I can't think of his name. The rodeo guy
Yeah,
that she
yeah,
was
yeah. Chase.
Jace. Yeah, Jace. So I mean, it was just like we've already done this whole thing. Your relationship has already survived Amy kissing another person, who in that case, that was actually somebody that she liked, that she kissed him back. In this case, is not. And so I don't know. I agree with you. It was not the best. And then you also have Tim and Casey.
Yeah,
And I think this is one of the better girlfriends for Tim.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like because she's not coming in with like a splash, if you know what I mean. Like it felt
Mm-hmm.
like Janice came in just to be like an antagonist to like all of the characters around her, particularly Amy. Whereas
Yeah.
Casey's just sort of coming in from the outside. She's not really, having any sort of interactions with, the family yet.
Yeah,
So
and like Miranda, she was had all the baggage with
exactly.
Jane.
Hmm.
And so I kind of I like that. And you have Tim, he likes Ahmed. I don't understand what Tim's problem is with Ty. I don't really get it. I mean,
Yeah, I said this last week of like, I don't understand why you wouldn't support Ty, wanting to marry your daughter. He's not like a slacker. If anything, he's taken on too much.
yeah, agreed.
He's starting a business. He's trying to like put a deposit on a property. He's, trying to become a vet while working a job, two jobs. Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy. If anything, you would sort of tell him to relax a little. I mean, he hasn't like had any sort of college experience.
Yeah,
Like it seems like he hasn't even enjoyed being in college.
right. Yeah, I mean, all we've just seen him study and study and study. We haven't seen any kind of college experience aside from school. And then there's this whole thing with Katie where Lou is freaking out about Katie because was it that the doctor was concerned about her and her
It wasn't even a doctor, it was like a principal from the school that she was trying, this like fancy
right, right,
school
right.
that she was trying to get into, that said that she wasn't ready. And yeah, I guess Lou's taking that as like, I guess they feel like Katie isn't, I don't even know if it was supposed to be like she wasn't ready to start their kind of scholastic program, or she wasn't ready like socially, or like there's
Mhm.
no like, so I guess because there's no like definition, Lou's kind of losing it a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, you do worry a lot for, your children, and especially when you only have one child. I feel like like all of your attention is just focused on the one child. I guess she technically has two children with Georgie, but I don't know. I lose already a pretty tense individual. And so
It felt like this was another sort of contrived thing to sort of pit Lou against Peter, whereas like this situation, like Lou shouldn't have been so intense about it, even
mhm,
though like she has every right to sort of be concerned and like get an appointment, and Peter shouldn't have been so negative.
mhm.
They should
I
have
mean,
just sort of met in the middle of like let's go see a doctor and sort of get our minds put at ease,
yeah,
sort of thing. But yeah,
like it couldn't hurt.
yeah,
I mean, to get it checked out, and I mean, why not? But yeah, like the the stress about it is probably more damaging than anything else.
uh-huh.
Yeah. And Katie doesn't want to go, so that's also part of the problem.
Yeah, well, I don't blame her of like the way Lou was acting. Like you would think she was going to something that was really intense and scary.
Hmm.
Um, if she's sort of seen her, freaking out on the phone and you know, arguing with Peter.
Yeah. The best part of this whole episode, though, was when Ty gets sneezed on by the llama. We all agree.
Yeah, yeah, I love his response of like talking to the llama of like, "You're the one that let them out, buddy."
That was really funny. But Katie ends up being fine, of course. And then we find out that Caleb got Georgie a trick riding horse. And so she's so excited about that.
Yeah,
And we get this whole dinner scene that was quite the drama.
yep.
Tim didn't know that not to invite Ahmed for dinner, and then Georgie reveals about the video, and then they're all fighting, and we get the end where where Ty says, Amy, you're not the same person that you were before.
Oh my God, this drove me crazy as well.
Now you're
Yeah,
just servicing rich people's horses.
yeah, yeah,
Don't you have to be pretty rich to have a horse at all?
yeah. We've said talked about this before. Like to be in this business, like it's a wealthy business,
Hmm.
regardless of what level you have to have money to take care of these animals. Um, yeah, it's this whole breakup was ridiculous. Even more ridiculous because in the next episode, Ty gives a different reason as to why he ended things.
Yeah.
But the way that he ends it here of like, you've changed Amy, as if she's supposed to stay the same, like
Right.
16, 17-year-old he first met. Like, she's never supposed to, like, develop as a person. Like, she's never supposed to, have different opinions and
Yeah. I mean, and the way they were acting, like her going to Europe is some kind of like a personal affront to the whole family. Like, how dare you? Like,
yeah,
what?
yeah. I mean,
They
she
should be
came back
excited.
yeah, she came back a little like not snobby, but a little bit. But that sort of makes sense if you've never seen anything of the world before.
Yeah.
You sort of get caught up in, you know, especially when you're going to a palace, you sort of get caught up in it all. So it makes
Hmm.
sense when you come back and everything just feels a little bit smaller,
Yeah.
um, to readjust. So it makes sense. But like the idea that, going to Europe for like a couple of months and her seeing a part of the world is like
Hmm.
changed her as a person, like fundamentally is insane.
Yeah. I agree. So they're going on a break. This is Ross and Rachel all over again.
Yeah. And again, just like the crazy, like on the nose, say something, I'm giving up on you song at the end. I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah, it was very on the nose. So yeah, this was not the best, but it did have a good llama scene, so I got to give it that. Oh, we also forgot about the wolf uh, died, and but it left a puppy, so
Mhm.
that will come into play later on. So, what would you give this one out of 10?
I would probably give it a 7.5.
That's higher than I thought you would say. I'm going to say 6.5 for me.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast.
Terry Ferris, author of You Belong With Me and Until I Met You, returns readers to the charming town of Heritage, Michigan in the Restoring Heritage series finale.
Fans have enjoyed immersing themselves in the complicated, funny, and endearing lives of this small town.
In Since You've Been Gone, Ferris offers another romantic tale where sparks fly when two people at odds in the past must learn to trust each other to ensure a better future.
Not only do you get one great romance in Since You've Been Gone, but it also has a sweet secondary relationship, which includes themes of faith, forgiveness, and love.
Pick up Since You've Been Gone wherever you purchase your books or use our affiliate link.
For more information on the Restoring Heritage series, visit https://www.terryferris.com/books.
That's www.terryferris.com/books.
Then we have endings and beginnings. And this is Amy works with a pair of Liberty horses, but struggles because of her break with Ty. Ty finds a dead bear with its gallbladder missing, a sign of poachers on the wildlife reserve where he now works. Georgie cares for an orphaned wolf pup, and Lou hires Jade to work at the Dude Ranch with disastrous results. So, what was your overall thoughts about this one?
Again, I sort of felt the same about this one. It just wasn't my favorite. I felt like me and Mav got like lots of notes for this one. Like, just felt like a lot was happening. It feels like we've reintroduced Jade like a couple of times at this point. And she was just really frustrating in this episode. Hopefully, obviously forward, I feel like she's going to be sort of a different character, and that they're sort of folding her into the ranch. But yeah, this was a rough episode for her. I feel like probably in terms of like storylines, Ty had probably the better one.
Mm-hmm. How old do you think Jade is supposed to be? Do we know that?
I feel like she's probably 16 or 17, just
Okay.
guessing. But it feels a little crazy, and you have to do a lot of
Because she
um.
wasn't driving, right? When she stole the truck.
Oh, that would make her, yeah, that would make her probably at 15 then, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it just seems crazy that her mum, who's interacted with Jack and Tim a couple of times, is like leaving Jade in their care a lot. Feels a lot
Yeah.
strange.
Well, yeah, and Jack is just he's such a defender. I mean, he has a history of working with troubled children, so that would make sense, but it almost seems like I mean, I would think that he would be so mad about this whole party thing.
Yeah, yeah, and the party was crazy. Like, it just went to a point where I don't understand why Lou just didn't, send her back to her mum. I mean, she'd like
Yeah.
destroyed her business. She like literally burned down her business.
Yeah, she could have her arrested. Well,
Yeah.
and also, I mean, technically, Lou could be found liable for hosting a party on her grounds where, you have underage drinking and other things going on. She could get in trouble
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, I feel like the show is sort of set up this way where they have to have like an outsider, like an audience sort of surrogate, like every single season.
Hmm.
So, Georgie's pretty folded in. She's sort of part of the team, so they need to bring in somebody new. Um,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. That's very true. So then you have Caleb. He's checking in on Ty. We forgot to say that Caleb gets Georgie the horse in the last episode,
Mhm.
the trick riding horse. So she has the horse, and Ty is struggling with his breakup or break on a break with Amy, and he says that he's just not going to be that guy that holds her back or whatever. Like you were saying, this is all of a sudden a different reason why he's there on a break.
Yeah, he says that Ahmed, saying that he should be with Amy because he gives her the world, and Tayo only holds her back and keeps her, her world pretty small. But yeah, this is just like, yeah, different than what he said at the end of the episode, the previous
Right.
one.
Yeah. And then you have Jade working with Lou, and like we said, so she ends up having this party at the Dude Ranch. And I mean, how far away is the Dude Ranch from the main house?
It's not that far. It's pretty
Yeah.
much all on the same property. So yeah, I feel like it's not that far. I feel like you maybe can't see it, but it is not that far in terms of
It,
like getting from A
yeah.
to B.
It seems like somebody would have noticed this huge party
Yeah, they should have
going
noticed the
on.
fire anyway. Like,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
when you're, in a fire with chairs and benches.
Hmm. Yeah. So then we also have Georgie taking care of the wolf cub. She names it Fang, and that was pretty cute.
Oh my god, the cutest. Like, I don't know how you can hand that to somebody and say don't get attached.
Right.
Like, even if you're not like an animal person, you're gonna get attached.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, especially a little girl. I mean, come on.
yeah, is obsessed
Uh,
with that.
a teenager, and so then Ty finds a bear
Hmm.
killed by the arrows. The thing I don't understand is what's the difference between a hunter hunting bears, which is a thing, and a poacher hunting bears? I don't quite understand.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I guess you can say hunter in terms of like, some people hunt just for the kill. They don't actually
Hmm.
want anything from the animal, which is just, you know,
Yeah.
if you're doing it for an actual reason, like to survive for food, to provide food, like I don't understand
Is it
that
because it was
mentality.
on it was it on the reserve? Is that why?
And it wasn't on the reserve, but it was nearby the reserve. I don't think it was on his property, but it was nearby where, Ty, passes it by. But
Yeah,
yeah.
because like in Africa, you're dealing with endangered animals that aren't supposed to be hunted,
Mhm.
that's why it's poacher, the elephants and things like that. But as far as I know, people are allowed to hunt bears. So I was a little confused about that. But if anybody listening, because we have our amazing commenters, if you know, we'd love to hear why. I was a little bit confused by that. But what did they use the gallbladder for? That was weird.
For Chinese medicine, I believe.
Oh, weird. Yeah, who knew? I would think that other parts would be way more valuable, like the fur and stuff like that.
Yeah, it says that here the poacher is a person who trespasses in order to take game illegally. One who poaches, while hunter is one who hunts game for sport or food. So yeah, they're doing it for completely different reasons.
Mhm.
So hunters, yeah, they tend to. Well, I don't know, sort of agree with some of the way people do things. Like they are doing it yeah, legally.
Yeah.
Whereas poachers are, going onto other people's land and.
The
Mm,
fact that it was just left there, I guess, is part of the problem, as opposed to, obviously, if you shoot it for, you're going to process the animal and use it. That maybe that's the problem. I don't know. I didn't quite get, how they could immediately tell, oh, it's poachers. But yeah, I guess the fact that it was just the gallbladder, that was weird. You learn something every time you watch a Heartland episode.
yeah, yeah, I believe they said they sort of sell it for people to make medicine out of.
Interesting. And so they also find a camera in the forest, Ty and Bob.
Hmm.
And were you immediately suspect of Bob?
Pretty much like I feel like it doesn't give a lot of information. And he seems to have like a lot of money all of a sudden. um,
Yeah,
you look at his sort of operation and the amount of money that he was willing to pay Ty. He's willing to sort of match Ty's um what Scott was paying Ty. So yeah, it felt a little strange for like pretty much any place that I've seen in terms of that's run as a sanctuary. You do get some that obviously pay employees, but a lot of it is done by volunteers and
right.
people that are just willing to give up their time. But yeah, he seemed very sort of suspect. But the second they mentioned like was it the fishing and wildlife? I was like, oh yeah, no, he's not actually done that.
Yeah, I think that he at the very least was lackadaisical, was a slacker. But knowing the show and how they like the drama, I was not surprised with this reveal that comes. And because you can only have people that are core kind of characters that are their motives are unimpeachable, kind of a thing. So of course Scott's not going to do anything like that. but uh Scott's pretty mad at Ty for starting to work with Bob.
Yeah, again, this sort of feels, I said this to Cammy last week, of like the whole thing of like Scott letting Ty go and not telling him in the first place what was happening. Like it didn't feel honest to Scott's character.
Mhm.
And again, I feel like this is maybe just something that, and it turns out that he doesn't actually take this deal to merge the two vet practices. So again, it just sort of feels a little bit contrived to get Ty to
Yeah.
this storyline.
Right. Yeah. So we also have Jack talking to Ty and saying your family, and it's good to take a break, but it's not good to take a long break.
Yeah.
So, and of course, they have a very close relationship. They, after the accident and everything. So, I mean, they had a close relationship before that, but especially almost dying together. So
Yeah.
never hurts.
Yeah. They've saved each other a few times now.
Yeah. Yes. And Ty, where's he holds Amy back. I'm holding Amy back. And
God.
so then Sandra comes in. She's begging for more help. And they go and they look at Jesse's trainer, whose name is Tate.
Mhm.
And they're not that impressed with Tate. And
That's a very aggressive approach.
yeah, but then Jesse fires Tate and hires Amy, and this feels like a mud all over again. But you had said last week that Jesse was a CW guy, looked like a CW guy. I agree. He is very, very dreamy. That actor.
Yeah. When he showed up, he's going to be like, he's going to like fall in love with Amy and be just like the worst. Yeah, it feels like I said to Cammy, like, there's no way they cast such a handsome guy just to like be an extra on this show. He's going to have to do something.
Right. Yeah. Now we had Jeremy, we had
Chase.
Ahmed, Chase. Yeah. the bodies are stacking up at this point. And that's when Jade has the party at the ranch, and there's the whole thing with people coming early and her kind of shooing them off, and I think that might give Lou a little bit of caution.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
she's going to like, as like the mother of two daughters, she's going to have to like step up a bit, figure out the line.
Yeah. And then Jade throws the party, and I never really understood the appeal of these kind of parties. I mean, I feel like they exist more in movies than in real life.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. To me, it just looks like no fun at all. But I don't drink or any of those
just
things.
like standing around an area, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I suppose it works for some people.
Yeah, definitely not for me. And then Ty is beat up by the poachers, and they take the camera, and that looked painful.
Yeah.
He should have called the police at that point, though, for sure, once they've actually assaulted him.
Yeah, he should have like. I mean, I understand why they'd sort of need to bring Scott in, but yeah, he
Uh-huh.
should have just like called the fish and wildlife people himself at that point.
Hmm. Yeah. So then Lou tells Jade this is a serious breach of trust, which yeah, like
Yeah,
again, it's actually illegal what she did. So it's a big deal. And then Amy has a breakthrough with the horses and is able to help Sandra with the horses. So
yeah,
she's gotten her mojo back.
yeah. I like that they sort of, who was it that said to her, like, oh, it was Jack that says, she should talk to Sandra, she's also a friend. And it's like, yeah, Amy doesn't have any friends. Like,
Yeah.
at least Ty has Caleb. All Amy has
Yeah.
is only her sister, and
With Soraya was the only one.
yeah, she doesn't even have Ashley at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I think I would give this one a 7. I do like it better than the first one, but it's still not my favorite.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, seven's fair.
Okay, then we have Steal Away, and this is Jade, the reluctant new ranch hand, and Georgie are blamed when a client's horse escapes from his stall, but they find out this horse has a hidden talent. Ty recruits Scott to help him take down a poaching ring. So overall, what do you think of this one?
Um, yeah, I mean, I sort of put this episode in with the other two. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not, too caught up in these storylines, to be honest. Um, I
Yeah.
sort of like the cases that Amy's taken on. But yeah, the poaching storyline and the reserve, and all just feels a little, yeah, it's not clicking for me as
Yeah.
much.
Hmm. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just because we were spoiled with season 7, and maybe
Yeah,
that's part
maybe
of the
that's it.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. We haven't had Lisa back either, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
well, we
She's
had her in
in
the last episode.
France.
Yeah, she'll be in France again. She's always in France.
Yes. So then you have Georgie with the wolf cub, and uh, she has to give it back, and of course that's very sad. And uh, she says, "Way it's way better to have people caring for you and caring about you." And she just care for this pub. She tells that to Jade, and
Hmm.
Jade's, well, I don't know why I need to worry about this place, and you would never understand. And George is like, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like most of this episode is trying to fold Jade into the Heartland world.
Yeah. Hmm. And she's doing chores for Lou, and uh, yeah, it's kind of interesting that Jack would hire Jade as a ranch hand when she's just been the worst. And
Yeah.
he says, the great thing about living on a ranch, the fun never ends.
I mean, I guess he has given her all the sort of worst jobs of like mucking out stalls and stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I mean, she even pushes it for him to a certain point, but he says, I'm not giving up on her.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then Scott comes over, brings Ty's paycheck, his last paycheck. He's taking the horse to Heartland. And I do think it's always funny on any show, whether it's a dramatic show or a sitcom, where they have to create situations where people are together, as opposed to when you would in real life, you would just call, you wouldn't go over to the house. You
Yeah.
know, people just coming in to
Yeah.
people's houses. People, oh, I got to bring you your paycheck, kind of a thing. I think that's always sort of funny. But uh, we find out that Bob doesn't want to do anything about the poachers, and that's very upsetting to Ty. And then Ty tells Scott about the gallbladders, and Scott says, "Let fish and wildlife handle it. Don't get involved." So that's kind of interesting because Scott is very practical. We've seen that over the years.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess he thinks that they're sort of dealing with it, so there's not much else they can really do.
Hmm.
Um,
Like Ty is very emotional about the animals, and that's just not Scott. He's much more practical.
yeah, definitely.
Hmm. Yeah. And then we have the sorry, I lost my place. Then yes, Trisha asks Jack to help with Jade, and they leave Katie with with Jade, which is probably not a good choice. And Georgie comes in, and Katie's all alone, and she's watching him with the nanny cam, watching her with the nanny cam. So I guess it's it's probably not the best choice to have Jade be watching Katie.
Yeah, and probably not. You would think that before gave her the job of childcare, she'd have to like prove that she's,
Yeah,
a little bit more invested in sort of staying there and playing by the rules a little bit more before you're like, here, take care of a child.
yeah, exactly. Well, Scott brings a horse to Amy named Dash, and Dash is very skittish. He doesn't want to be ridden, and they they end up uh, working with him. And one day he ends up getting free from the stall, and Amy's very upset because she's like, "This is a client's horse," and so she's upset with Georgie, with Jade. But then they figure out through the nanny cam, they figure out that the Dash can open the latch all by himself, which was so cute.
Yeah, it's so cute. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Also, I'm like surprised that Jack was like, "Oh, I've never seen that before. Like, this is so impossible." Like, it doesn't seem that impossible. Like,
yeah,
animals are very like, um, yeah. My dog
yeah.
can get out. Yeah, my dog's pretty good at getting out of his crate. So yeah,
Mhm.
if there's a will, there's a way with animals.
Right, exactly. And it was cute. It was good. And and then uh the this conversation between Jack and Amy where Jack tries to get her to work with Ty, and he says you've been overreacting. What do you think of that whole scene?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think they're both overreacting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know. It just feels since the breakup feels artificial, it's hard to get invested in all this like other stuff about it.
Yeah, and especially like the way Ty's acting of like we're going on a break. Like, he doesn't really set Amy any sort of like boundaries in terms of like let's take 2 weeks apart and then we'll talk, but he's just sort of leaving her in this sort of limbo. So it does make sense that she sort of doesn't know whether she's coming or going with him. And he's so sort of closed off and not talking. Which understandably if he'd actually said like let's not talk for this length of time or but the idea of like, you know, just cutting off all sort of contact and it just feels a little strange.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And then you have Jade riding Dash, which seemed a little risky. I would put her on one of the trail horses or something like that, considering she's scared.
Yeah, yeah, they're trying to get her to, bond with horses and animals and I'm sure like in I don't know, like season 10 we'll see a very different Georgia. Jade.
Yeah, I mean, I would think even Phoenix would be a better choice for a first time rider.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But
Not one that like his main problem is getting on.
yeah, exactly. As I was thinking, this is a if he is rehabilitated, it's very new, and it seems like you'd want one of the more
Amy's
calm
that confident in her
horses.
work.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. So then we find out that Bob let it happen, the poaching, that he was paid off by the poachers, and that they then Ty and Bob have a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that didn't last long with him working there.
Yeah. Again, it sort of sets Ty up as this sort of idealistic sort of, he has these sort of morals that just won't, he won't compromise. Whereas Bob, he cares about the animals, but he's willing to look the other way. It's sort of like, he's getting money to care for the animals and look after them, but in order to do that, other animals are being hurt, and he can sort of
Mm,
justify that in his own mind. But Ty is just, he's not built that way when it comes to animals.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and I guess I just found the whole thing kind of confusing because I guess I don't understand the whole poaching situation. I don't quite get it. And I mean it's amazing that there's that kind of money in the gallbladders. Very weird. But anyway, yeah, I mean you can kind of understand Bob's perspective that he's trying to make this all work and but obviously like he should be working with she should be doing illegal things. He should be working within the rules of the wildlife, fish and wildlife.
Yeah, yeah. I guess his whole thing is like, it's going to happen anyway. I should at least make some money out of it, which is
Yeah.
not great.
And the Fish and Wildlife Service is the villain in this whole thing. Like what in the world? Canadian Fish and Wildlife Service needs to get with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they are just not very effective. Pretty much, I can't think of a single time in this whole show when the sheriff's office or the Fish and Wildlife have been helpful at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Remember with Tim and the sheriff about his cows?
And
Yeah.
even like when Lou was dating that constable that ended up being
Oh
like
yeah.
Peter, and yeah.
Right. Yeah. So then Ty apologizes to Scott, and Scott is so overworked that he welcomes Ty back, but he says that Cassandra is the new boss, and so you're going to have to work with her. So she's already redeemed herself to the point that now she would take precedent over Ty
hmm
because of the situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go with her. So there we go. That is the episode. I don't know. What would you give this one out of 10?
Yeah, 7.5. I would say, yeah, I feel like they're all kind of on the same level
Mm-hmm.
for me this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I give 7 as well. So and there we go. We'll look forward to seeing what happens next and in the next 3 episodes. And so let us know if you're listening what you think of these 3 episodes. What was your favorite of them? And Michelle, where can people find you?
On Twitter at Michelle R. Benson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And also make sure you're following the podcast, Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. If you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. We really, really, really appreciate those so much, especially going to the holiday season. And as it only takes a second of your time, and it really helps us a lot to have those reviews. And then if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And we also have our merch store, which has Heartland inspired merch. And we have our patron group, which is a lot of fun. So please take a look at that. It's only $2 a month to join. And we have watch alongs and other activities. And we really appreciate the support. And so we'll be back next week, and we'll see y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.